Welcome to the I Am Mother of the Year podcast, where we equip and encourage moms just like you to move from isolation, fear, comparison, and chaos to community, compassion, peace, and freedom. We're so glad you're here. Hey, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Jen, and this is the I Am Mother of the Year podcast.
And this is our fifth and final episode
So sad.
of our Frozen 2 series. We have loved every minute.
So much fun.
Of celebrating their 1-year anniversary of Frozen 2. Yeah. This is also a tribute to moms everywhere who have watched this no less than 1 million times. We know you have it all memorized, but we just wanted to highlight it because there's so many good themes. This movie's deep.
It's deep.
So good.
Yes.
And this episode is no different because it's based on the song, Do the Next Right Thing.
Where Anna's like crying through the song. I'm like, Kristen Bell, how did you sing that? How did you make it through?
I know, so good.
So yeah, in this one we unpack like, what does it look like when it's deep and dark and you don't know where the light is? You have to take the next step. So we unpack what that looks like in our lives. But
so good. I'm so gonna miss dressing up as Queen Anna.
Me too, and Elsa.
I'm gonna grieve that.
Okay.
But for now, take us there one more time.
Okay.
Get us all set and ready.
Okay. Guys, we're back for our last Frozen 2 in costume themed podcast.
Or is it?
Or is it?
Have we and you fallen so in love with this that we shall never be anything other than Anna and Elsa?
Anna and Elsa, and Anna with a cape.
Come on now.
So majestic.
Well, thank you. I thought for the end, the
beautiful.
grand finale,
Yes.
I can throw my cape
then
around.
You can, emphasize your point. And
You know, there's lots of drama coming up in this one.
uh,
Because it's the darkest, most
Seriously.
sad song of the whole shebang.
we had to save this for last because we would have just been mascara-stained, blubbery, splotchy messes for all the other videos. Goodness gracious.
I know.
It's so sad.
But it's not.
It is.
But it is. It's Do the Next Right Thing.
Yes.
Which she's in a cave.
Yeah.
Alone. Far from home. In an enchanted forest that she couldn't even get herself into. So who knows if she can even get herself out of.
In a cave.
In a cave. Her sister, dead. Olaf, flurried away.
Gone.
Gone.
Alone.
Alone.
In the dark. In a new kind of unknown.
Yeah. Ugh.
Poor Anna.
I know.
She's so sad.
She's so sad like this. She is coming in handy already.
Okay. Can I read you some of these
please
lyrics?
do. Oh my gosh. We're like, how many lyrics should we read? Let's highlight them. Oh wait, they're all highlighted. They're so good. This song. One of our producers, Amanda, said that this is like a therapy session in a song.
In a Disney movie. Thank you, Disney.
And we're about to take you straight to therapy. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Grab the tissues. Let's go.
Okay, the first 4 lines. I've seen dark before, but not like this. That's the opening line of a Disney song.
Click, click, click.
This is cold. This is empty. This is numb. The life I knew is over. The lights are out. Hello, darkness. I'm ready to succumb. Is that not the darkest set of lyrics you've ever heard?
And you want to know why it hits us as, oh my gosh, that's so dark?
Yeah.
Because we've all been there.
Yeah.
This isn't like the darkness that nobody can relate to.
Right.
This is the darkness that we've all lived through at one point or the other.
Hopeless situations.
Right? You've lived that, haven't you? Let's just acknowledge the fact that we've all probably been there.
Yeah. We'll share ours first so you can go second.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like as we've been talking, so much healing comes from vulnerability. It just welcomes people in. It makes a community.
Yeah.
You're no longer alone in your pain. So, yes, we'll share. Summary, I survived.
Hold on, I'm going to pause. Because look at you already. Dramatic pause. You go,
Wind up.
and now I will
Yeah.
Posture.
Yeah.
Vulnerability.
First time I had to verbally tell my counselor a story.
Yes.
Like, she had me write out the top 10, aka the bottom 10
Ugh.
worst moments of my relationship, which was
Abusive marriage,
abusive.
she means.
Yep.
Okay.
And do you know how hard that was to like dig back? Like, I try to block most of it out, and by the grace of God, I can black a lot of it out and not remember some of the details. But I had to dig that up, write out 10 of the worst moments of our marriage, live those memories, write everything that happened, narrow it down to 3, and then cry them out with her and pick one, like the worst moment. And then I had to like work through therapy of like, they do this with PTSD patients. Like, it wasn't quite EMDR, but it was this 4-step process of retelling my worst memory there. And she's like, okay, tell me the story of what happened. And it's probably a 2-minute summarized story. And so I'm an achiever. And so I was like, okay, well, this one day, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I tell her the story, and she was like,
yeah, that's
okay,
cute. That's
now
cute.
stop white-knuckling the armchair. And I was like, you weren't supposed to see that. Like, she's
Got
like,
that, did you?
when there are traumatic memories that we talk about and recall from our brain, it sparks epinephrine, and that's the fight or flight hormone. And so she's like, the energy will come out of you, and I need to restore that in your brain so that eventually you can tell me the story without winding up, without having shortness of breath and a heart pounding, like without having those physical reactions.
Yeah.
So that you can tell it just like, yeah, I saw a squirrel yesterday in the yard. Like, you can tell me like it's stored in your brain in a different way. So yeah, I'm like, oh, that's, it's not the first time that I'm like,
Can you just finish that story? Will you tell us that story? You don't have to. Okay. That's fine. Will you tell them the end of the counseling part where she made you do it melted into a chair?
I was so annoyed that I was called out. Like, my whole life is about saving face, like putting on the smile so that you don't know what's actually happening. Like, that's the 3 in the Enneagram. That's the achiever. Like,
Yeah.
look at me, I'm a performer. Everything's fine. You hide the bad. And with my perfectionistic tendencies, that's the thing. So I was so annoyed. I thought I 100% had her fooled, because being in an abusive relationship, I had a lot of people fooled on the outside looking in. I was really good at masking it. And yeah, let's just talk about you. I'll ask you more questions, and then you won't realize what's happening to me behind closed doors. And so I was so busted and annoyed. And I remember, like, I really liked this Christian counselor, but I gave her this dirty look, like, how dare you
Do your job I'm paying you for.
Clued into my secrets. You weren't supposed to look at my hands. Look at my face. Look at my smile. And so she was like, right.
Performer Jen. Yeah.
Try that again and get comfortable, and don't tense up any part of your body. So I got Indian style, and I was so annoyed, and I got a pillow, and I hugged it, and I let my gut out, and I was like, oh, fine. And then I told her again, slowly, without tensing up anything, without being on. That's how it happened. And then eventually I had to draw out the picture, and I had to write it out in different formats, so like a 2-minute one, a 10-minute one, and she took the 2-minute and read it back to me, and that was the first time that I cried. Hearing it, because it displaced me. I was just listening to her like it was a new story, and it started to restore in my brain. And I cried because she's like, now wait, stop, why are you crying? I said, because I just feel for that girl. And I said out of my mouth, that girl. Like, I was so displaced. I didn't say I felt for me. I remember that. It was not personalized. I feel so bad for her. I know all she wanted to do was watch a movie and pop some popcorn. And then this thing happened, and I'm like, dang it. Just let her be. Like, I felt for her. Yeah. What were we talking about?
Counseling. This is the magic and the genius. But no, this is you going, hello, darkness. I'm ready to succumb. You lived that.
Yeah.
You lived it.
Yeah, in my darkest hour, I felt totally stuck, and I'm a pretty optimistic person. I can find the positive in some bad situations. And I was without hope. Like, I'm always the one offering hope to other people. Like, well, at least silver lining line. Like, and in this, my rock bottom, I didn't want to get a divorce, but I couldn't live the way that I was living anymore. So at the extreme end, I was like, well, now I'm stuck because I feel like I can't do this and I can't do that.
Yeah.
But it was to the point of, okay, then I think I need to end my life because I can't live like this anymore. Like, you want to talk about a hopeless situation?
Oh.
I saw zero light, zero way out. I was without hope.
Yeah, and the grief has a gravity. It pulls me down. Like, that's so you in your story. And if you want to hear more about Jen's story, we'll post it in the show notes because we did a Facebook Live months ago, like an hour long, detailing that story in an effort to bring that to light, but to really offer you some freedom and some hope if that's where you find yourself in any number of impossible, I'm just stuck situations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's my darkness. Where do you find your darkness?
My darkness is that I have had depression, anxiety for a long time, and it's funny because I mean, I know it's genetic. I can tell you all the things about it and the reasons why, and sometimes it's situational, and sometimes it just is there, and sometimes, and this is the worst part for me when I realized I don't think this is normal. Like, I can see my depression as this cloud, and it's out there, and it's always out there. And so it's just beyond my reach. I don't want to grab it, but I'm like, my arm, I realized this, my arm was always out here. If it's gonna come, I'm ready to stop it. And so I'm like, I had to come to realize, and I don't remember how, that's probably a good thing for me to dive into at some point, but like, figure out how I realized I don't think people work this hard.
I think
to
it was a
not
counselor.
be depressed.
We were running and you told me about it. It was counseling.
Counseling again for the win. We cannot recommend it enough. There you go.
Yes.
So, and I'm like, I'm pushing, and when it comes closer, because it's not always at a distance, sometimes I am fighting so hard until it has me on the ground, and I'm just like, no, and here it comes. And so like that, I'm like, I realized I work so hard. Like, what if I use this energy
of resistance
for anything else in my life? Like anything else I could have more energy and passion for, but I'm throwing it all against this black cloud that threatens to overtake me. And then when it gets close enough, here's like, let me just take this off, because it feels like my black cloud, so I'm just gonna let this go. Let's do something dramatic with it like that.
There you go.
But it's this black cloud, right? And then when it gets close enough, I can hear it whispering to me. It starts calling me. And it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna feel really good to feel really bad. Just think, remember last time you felt really bad? How kind of exciting it was to lay on the couch and just feel bad. Like, yeah, you didn't love that, and there were lots of tears, and you couldn't bring yourself out of your house. You couldn't bring yourself out of your dorm room. You couldn't bring yourself out of this cloud. But at least the cloud is surrounding you. At least that's familiar. At least you can trust that. Just let it come. Hey, I'm coming for you. Like,
you can't
that
stop it.
Voice. Like,
can I read this?
Yes.
She says, but a tiny voice whispers in my mind, you are lost. Hope is gone.
Yeah. And that's it. That's the voice going. And you probably heard the voice too in your darkest days. Like, you're stuck here now. How's that bathroom floor feel right now? Oh, real good. Yeah.
And who's coming to save you? No one. You're on your own. No one knows this is happening.
Right. You're alone.
Good luck.
You're alone.
And you're beaten down.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, yeah. And I just take, like, in my worst, weakest moments in depression, I take the cloud and I wrap it around me, because then to feel the weight, like as a feeler, to feel the weight, even if it's negative, feels better than feeling numb. So like lots of people when they're depressed feel numb and they want to be numb, and that's fine. I don't. Like, I want to feel the worst, and I just let myself feel that, and then it takes me over. And then it's figuring out, like, how do you get out of this? Like, because then I'm like, oh, here we are. And so it's me in the voice, me in the black cloud, and now we're one. And now I'm agreeing with the darkness. and that
is darkness. Can we name
darkness.
the voice?
The voice is the
Satan.
devil. That's pure evil.
It's lie.
Right. And I'm not going to discount, obviously, the chemical genetic component of depression.
Yes.
I'm not going to ever, because please, if we took a brain scan, you'd be able to see, like, yes,
chemical imbalance.
It's a chemical imbalance. I absolutely know that to be true. But I am still like, when I could, if I would just say to somebody before it comes, or before I choose the darkness, if I just throw a beacon to the light, like, which I've done before too. Like, I'm very good at the line. I'm going down. Hey, I need something. And then, like, okay, I knew it. Boom. Okay, what do we have to do? So, like, one time I had my daughter Josie, and so I was like, I don't have postpartum depression, which I don't think I did. My postpartum depression came a lot later when I realized my kid's not going away, you know? And so it's like...
And motherhood is not what I expected.
And motherhood is not what I expected to be. All of these different things. And so I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I said to my sister, I'm like, I don't know if I'm okay. And she goes, no, thank God you finally said something. If you weren't going to say something soon, I was. What do we need to do? And so, like, the next day I signed up for a half marathon so I could start training and I could have a rhythm and a routine and create the space for something that I knew that would fill me and have an accomplishment. And like that saved me from depression that year. Like, I didn't actually succumb to it. I didn't let the gravity pull me down.
Oh, that's so good.
But it's like...
And you chose one thing. You put one foot in front of the other.
Exactly.
You didn't say, oh, I'm going to conquer the world and do this thing. It's like...
Screw you, depression. No, it's like...
Half marathon is kind of like conquering the world.
It is.
But you're like, one decision. I'm going to sign up for a race.
Yep.
That's all I can choose today.
Right.
I'm not going to train and I'm not going to run 26 miles. Right. I'm just going to sign up.
Right. And then the next step was, well, now's day one of training. I'm going to put on my shoes.
Yeah.
Ooh, sometimes that's the hardest part. Whatever your metaphorical shoes are that you need to put on to take the next step, that can sometimes be the hardest, most daunting part. Once you're out there, you're out there. Yeah, here we go. But it's getting your shoes on and getting out the door.
Getting started.
Like, is still like solidifying the choice to choose the light, to choose the health.
Yes. Can I read more?
Yes.
She says, take a step again. It is all that I can do, the next right thing. I won't look too far ahead. It's too much for me to take, but break it down to this next breath, this next step. The next choice is one that I can make. The choice to tie your shoes, put them on your feet, you know, like.
Yeah. Well, and so Jenny Allen, my future mentor, BFF. Right now, she's my mentor from a distance and doesn't know it. But soon, we will hug next, and it's gonna be amazing.
Oh, she's coming for you.
I'm coming for you, Jenny Allen. But she created the If Gathering, and she wrote this book called Get Out of Your Head. And in this book, she talks about a lot of the What's True About You stuff. So we are speaking the same words in different language. But she says, like, the first thought that you need to say to stop the rest of the spiral of thoughts is, I get to choose. I get to choose. I get to choose this next thought. So, like, oh, this is happening to me. Oh no, I get to choose. Yeah, I get to choose. This next choice is one that I can make, even if the next choice is deciding I have a choice.
Which, for my situation, is huge because choices were robbed. I didn't really feel like I had the right to choose.
You were
anymore.
groomed to know you didn't have a choice, that even that was a lie.
Power and control of someone else. So that is like the affirmation Bill of Rights. Like, that's like assertive Bill of Rights, whatever we posted before. It's like, there's such strength in that of like rising off the floor and having ownership and strength. Like, there's strength in making that choice and doing the next right thing.
Right. And it's not looking ahead, because I love the story of you have when you're on, like, you escaped the marriage, you're on a walk at home with your best friend. Will you tell us that story?
Yeah, so I filed for separation. My parents let me come home for a time just to kind of heal. And I was home for 6 weeks, and I was like, okay, I'm at home. I'm like really starting to wrestle with this idea of being alone with my baby. as a single mom, what does that look like? But this is my childhood home, and I need just a little bit of space. I need to get out. I need to remember who I am outside of being a daughter and a mom. And so I'm like, why don't we try on Friend, the friend hat? And so I called up Jordan Shelton, and we went to a walking path, and we walked and walked and walked, and there was something so freeing about like being outside and reconnecting with her, my childhood best friend, and someone who knew me as my identity and not just as a daughter or a mom. And I was like, okay, just real talk. Like, so what am I gonna do? Like, I'm here, this is temporary, I have to go back. Like, so I was struggling with like, do I stay here? Like, I interviewed for a job, I was even offered the job, and my parents were like, yeah, I could get that apartment by this place. Like, I was starting to dream of what a life would be like, looking like coming home to Illinois. And then I was wrestling with, but I started my adult life now in Indiana, and there's something unfinished about that, and there's independence there that like I don't want to walk away from that. So I was in this struggle, but I couldn't imagine, I could not even fathom what the path would look like to get back to Indiana. And so for many reasons I was struggling, and I said to her like, okay, but play this out. Like, so what, I'm gonna be a single mom in an apartment and find a new job? And she just looked at me like, yeah, I think that's exactly what you're gonna do. Not just, could you, hypothetically, if, someday, maybe. It was like, no, that's what I think you will do. And I just remember dismissing it like, no, that's not me. That's like a lifetime story. I don't do that.
Yeah.
But that's what I did. I got a new job, and I found an apartment, and I was the single mom for a while. Like, I took one step in front of the other, one foot in front of the other.
Right, and it's so overwhelming for you. It's overwhelming for me in the state of depression to think like, to even remember who I was outside of that. Because it so quickly, and I think this might be a darkness evil thing, it's like darkness quickly attaches itself to your identity. It takes us a long time to claim the light as our own, which is a huge bummer. That's not how we were created. But man, that darkness just claims you, and then like it stops your imagination. And that's one of the biggest things is like, if you can't imagine running, can you stand? Can you crawl? Can you like do whatever you can do? Can you take one next breath? Which is why I like love that part. And then I love, so I'll walk through this night, stumbling blindly toward the light, I'll do the next right thing.
Yes, this light and darkness thing I love.
So good. And it's true, and this is our world, right? It's good and evil, it's light and darkness, it's God and it's the devil, and it's the war for your soul. That's, if we're talking about a cave in the deep end of the pool, and we're talking real talk, which is what we firmly believe, like there is a battle right now, good and evil, over my shoulder, over your shoulder, and that's not to scare you because the light wins. But the darkness is scrappy and trying to do everything it can do to keep you down, to keep you down, to keep you in the cave, to shut off that imagination, and then the light. And like, I love this part of the movie where she sees the light and she goes, something about her knows that's my only way out. No matter what I have to do to get there, I need to get there. And then she gets closer to the light, and the light becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And then she's outside in the light. The cave is gone. Like, and now she has the ability to see what could be next. Her imagination is open. She sparks. I know what I need to do. I need to get the rock people to throw the rocks at the dam, whatever. But like,
it out.
She
and then saved everyone, brought Olaf back
again.
And Elsa, and
But it's like she moved towards the light. Like she knew she had to, and she did. And I'm gonna give you permission now to move towards the light. If you feel darkness creeping, if you are surrounded by darkness, if you're covered in darkness, if you are hopeless, if you're ready to succumb, if you can hear that awful voice of the devil whispering in your mind that there's no hope, say no. Just say no. There is a Bible verse somewhere in that book that says, say a firm no and watch the devil scamper. Like, he will leave. Say no.
And we have the power to do that.
Yes,
you can. If you don't know how, if you're following the Lord, you can say, in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to leave. There's such power. You have power.
Yes.
God entrusted us with that.
Yeah. And can you imagine, like, in your real situation, like, doing that? Like, you're on the bathroom floor going, it's either divorce or suicide. Those are both really dark.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I can choose the light. There's a third option that holds all the other options.
Yeah. Which
like,
for me
choosing the light
was intervention.
Yeah.
And going home for 6 weeks to heal and find some clarity. Like, when you're talking through Anna stumbling through the cave, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm putting this in the terms of my own experience. And I'm like, that's exactly, like, it's synonymous. You just explained my journey, that I saw the light. My parents were like, just come home. We'll figure it out. I don't know what the long-term play is.
Right.
But in the short term, do the next right thing. The next right thing is you're physically and mentally and emotionally not well, probably not spiritually either. Come home and refine yourself. That was the light I saw in the cave.
Yeah.
And then to move towards it and to go to Illinois.
Yep.
All of a sudden it was like brighter and brighter and brighter.
Yeah.
And there's power in bringing things out of the darkness into the light and shining a light on them.
Right. And then the other part of it, I think in both of our stories, and then I think in motherhood in general, because you might have never struggled with depression, you might have never been in an abusive relationship. Like, something about motherhood is instantly isolating.
Yeah.
Like, I hate that, and I'm speaking out against it. And it's one of the many reasons we're doing this podcast, so we can have these conversations. But it's not okay. You are not alone. So don't let the voice and the darkness tell you that you are alone and that you are isolated. Because no matter if you can picture it or not, you can choose the light. And if you can't, the light will choose you. Like, you are chosen by the light. It will find you. And God is using someone to break into your darkness right now, no matter what it looks like.
Yeah, because there are people around you who are light bearers.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
And so I heard a sermon a couple weeks ago by Marin at Grace Church, and I want to just share a quote with you, what she said in this talk. She talks about possessing the light, like through the love of Jesus Christ. She says, if you possess that light and I possess that light, and we bring our lights together, we shine so brightly that isolation has nowhere to hide. Loneliness and isolation like to hide in dark places. But when we together bring the love of Jesus into those dark places, we bring healing. And I had to write that down. I was like, amen and amen. Like, people intervened in my life and put a little light on my situation. And eventually, at the end of that, there was healing.
Right.
There is hope. There is healing available to you through others. Reach out. Others, reach to those people who are in the darkness and share your light. Like,
So, yes, it's so good. Let's bring our lights together.
Yeah.
For those who cannot hold their own light.
Yes.
For those who cannot hold their own hope and their own space for any imagination. Gosh, because we are not meant to go through this life alone, and we are not alone, but God is probably tapping you and me and you on the shoulder to either look for the light in your darkness or be that light to someone else's darkness. And it doesn't mean busting into their life and it's like you've already earned the right in a relationship that you have right now to speak truth and hope. Just say the thing you need to say. Like, just keep showing up.
Yeah. And ask
that.
How's it going? I mean, it could be as simple as a conversation.
Yes, and that gets people out of the cave, right? That shines. Even a flicker of light can give that hope.
Absolutely.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So good. And that's why this song is a therapy session.
Yes.
It's so good.
Another lyric from the song is, make the choice to hear that voice, to do the next right thing.
That's the perfect end, I think, to the whole series, because this started with, the uncertainty and the change, and then Elsa hears this voice and it calls, and she follows it, and she goes into the unknown, and she learns and grasps her identity, becomes the woman she was created to be, realizes it was in her all along.
Show yourself.
Right, show yourself, and it's all because the voice of God is calling. Listen to the voice. Make the choice to hear the voice and do the next right thing.
Because God will direct your steps.
He's going to.
He gave us the Holy Spirit to guide us.
He already, yes, he already is. Your story is already in motion. He's writing it so beautifully.
Yeah.
We are participating right now in the greatest love story of all time.
Ever written.
But it's time for you to start living it too. So get that light. Get out of the darkness. Reach out if you need to. So fired up about this. Just do the next right thing. It sounds simple and it could feel so hard.
But
oh my gosh.
One foot in front of the other.
1 foot.
Make the choice to listen and hear the voice.
Yep.
And He'll help you do the next right thing.
Yeah. And if you can't find anybody in your life that you could trust with your darkness, you can call us. Like literally,
Please
I'm
do.
serious. Reach out,
Yes.
no matter what. Like, because we're not sitting here just for the fun of it. Okay, we are sitting here and it is fun. Because look we're dressed up and
Makeup
it's
and
amazing.
nails and dresses.
All of it. But man, we're sitting here to help set you free. And if you are trapped in the darkness, it's my job on this planet to get you out of that. And I am taking that seriously. And the first thing we're going to tell you, let this be the biggest spotlight on your day. You are a really, really good mom. Thanks for listening to the I Am Mother of the Year podcast with Lisa and Jen. If you love what you hear and want insider access to more conversations just like these, exclusive Mother of the Year merch, and access to the I Am Mother of the Year podcast 1 day early, join the growing community of patrons who support our movement at patreon.com/I Am Mother of the Year. Talk to you next week.